Moments with Murph. We're going to get into our topic of ways to get rid of friends. Because a lot of us have our ways, proper ways. Okay, I got my ways. So I'm really going to narrow it down to just four simple ways. There might be more ways, there might be less ways, I might be dragging it, but I think these are the main four ways that we can get rid of friends. And we're going to do it in the order of worst to best. So, start with the first one. The worst way to get rid of a friend is being terrible to that person, okay? And forcing them out. So what that means is exactly what I just said it is. You're being a terrible person, a horrible person, and you're going to make them want to leave. Now, what you want to do is be obnoxious, okay? But you more so want to do things they do to you. So if they're always loud, if they're always causing a scene, if they make you feel, if they kind of like belittle you, now you need to start being a bully. You need to figure out, how do I act like them, but times 10. Because you want to make them feel like, all right, well, I need to go because this person obviously isn't messing with me, and I don't like the way they're making me feel. This is not acceptable. That's how you felt, and that's how you need to make them feel. Or even if they're like an okay-ish person, but they're very annoying, because we got a bunch of those type of friends. You want to be like, okay, either I need to be me times 30, or I need to do the things they do, but a little more annoyance, and to get rid of them. Now, again, this is the worst option, but it is an option because some of us do this. Now, what you do want to avoid is being disrespectful. We don't do disrespect. I don't care how much trash I talk and what we get into. At the end of the day, we don't disrespect people because that's not how we are built. That's not how we're made. We're not made to hurt people's feelings. But we sometimes do. But what we want to do is just, again, make them feel like they need to leave. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to get them to leave. We want them to, kind of exit our lives, but in the most expeditious way, but still subtly, you know what I mean? Because when you get that feeling of I'm not happy, you want to figure out how to get back to happy. No one should ever sabotage you feeling positive. Remember, we're all on this positive journey, positive vibes concept. So not everybody can stay. And the way you want to think about it is kind of like how jobs be making some of y'all forced out. Where it's like, oh, I'm not going to quit. So what? Then the job is going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to make you work long hours. Okay. I'm going to not give you a break. Because in a lot of states, if y'all don't know this, y'all should look it up. They're not obligated to give you a break after the age of 18. If you work through your lunch break, they're obligated to pay you, but they're not obligated to give you a break. They just give you a break so they don't have to pay you for overtime. Look that up. Because, like, y'all working 40 hours a week, but you take 15-minute lunch breaks, then that drops you back into that 39-hour, 38-hour mark. They avoid overtime by making you work the max amount of hours rather than pay you for overtime. That's why they're running sometimes. Now, but what they do is they make things very uncomfortable by making you work long hours, okay? They don't give you breaks. They don't let you have holidays off. They won't let you call off, or then they can be obligated to fire you, but they don't want to fire you because they don't want you to collect, what's that, unemployment or the benefits afterwards. So they want you to they want you to quit. They want to get rid of you, but on your terms. And that's what you want them to do. Whereas, like, you got to nudge them to the ledge, but let them walk off of it, okay? The whole idea is to remove them, but in the best way. Number 2. What you want to do, well, the number 2 way is to ghost them. Now, this is a method that isn't the best, but I'm not going to cap. I practice it a lot because it is so easy to not text back. Like, you know how often I'll look at my messages and I'll be like, dang. And that's it. I just look at them and go, dang. Like, where I want to respond, but some people just, they don't need to be responded to. And if you don't want to talk to that person and you're kind of just done with the relationship, like friendship, whatever you want to call it, period, just stop responding. Now, they're probably going to call you. You ain't got to reply. They're going to text you. You don't have to reply. If they're bold, they're probably going to email you. Please do not respond. You just want to let them know that y'all are done, okay? And again, ghosting takes the least amount of energy. Now, some of y'all go a little above beyond and block the person, and then y'all get all these follow-up stuff, and, it's a whole ball of wax, whatever they call it. But yeah, me personally, I let people know before I'm about to ghost them. Not explicitly, but implicitly, because everyone knows, like, my conversations, like, they're fun, they're vibrant. I kind of go off of the vibe that you're giving me. But the more annoyed I am with you, and the more I don't want to talk to you, it takes me about 30 hours to reply to you. My messages become very one worded, three worded. You know, it's only one line worth of a message. So if you only get messages like that, it means I really don't care, or I really wasn't paying attention. But if you consistently getting that, then that means I really don't care, and I'm about to walk away, right? Or if you ask me something like, "Hey Murph, can I be on your show?" "Hey Murph, you can't work on my car." "Hey Murph," and you know, and I never ever mention anything what you just say. I just go, "LOL, you crazy," and that's it. Then you should know that I'm going to walk away. You know what I mean? So the only thing is, like, people are gonna call you weird. Okay, they're gonna say you're fake. And guess what? You just gotta eat that. You just gotta eat it, okay? You have already taken the emotions out of this because you know that you don't want to be friends with that person anymore. So honestly, you should have no feelings attached. They can call you all types of names, and it doesn't matter. Why? Because they're irrelevant. Why? Because you don't want to be friends with them anymore. So when you ghost somebody, you're just basically putting that wall up, pulling the curtains down, and just turning in your head. That's all you're doing. And eventually, you know, people like who stare at the window, like, you know, when the doors is closed at the end of the day, and they like, "Oh my gosh, open the door." You know, you're like, "No, we close at 10 o'clock. It's 10:02. You know what I mean? Eventually, they go away. You know what you did? You ghosted them. You impersonally ghosted them. Especially like the ones of us who walk to the back of the store to make sure that they that they don't look at us no more. That's basically what you're doing. You're just walking, you're turning your head, and waiting until they leave. And eventually they shall, unless they're crazy. And then you want to find a new method, because we don't do crazy. Now, tip number 3. Now, this one's a fun one, and I do this one type 2. So it's called passing them off. Now, what you want to do is, honestly, you kind of want to take 2 friends that you're not really into, and you want to pair them together. But nothing more, you want to take one friend, okay, that really is annoying you, and pair them with somebody else that you kind of know, but not too much. This way, they're not one of your close friends and not within your close circle. So basically, the whole concept is you're going to take somebody. Let's say his name's Chris. All right, Chris is annoying you, but you know Josh needs a new friend, or you want Josh to take on to Chris. So what you're going to do is, you know, be around Chris, but you're going to invite Josh over. Or if you're hanging with Josh, wait till Chris comes around and invite him over. You're going to get them to talking. You want them to be as close as possible. You want to see how alike they are, because you probably already scoped to see if they're kind of compatible, kind of comparable, and can get along as friends. And then what you want to do is get them in the same environment and have them consistently talking. And what you want to do is find a way for them to make plans without you. That's what you want to do. You want to make sure that they start hanging out and enjoying each other's vibes when you're not around. Why? Because now you're not relevant, which is good. Usually we'll be mad at that, but now this is exactly what we want, because we want them to start hanging out and you to become irrelevant. Because listen, now this is like where it's getting to that better stage. You've given this person a new friend and somebody who's actually going to genuinely enjoy them, because you got annoyed. You don't want them anymore. But yeah, talking about Chris. But Josh actually enjoys Chris. And Chris gets a better vibe from Josh because Josh is more open to actually having a friendship with him versus you. So what just happened? You just gave one friend another friend, and you might have just made 2 best friends. This is, I would say, the 3rd best way, or the 2nd best way, however you want to say it. This would be like the next step, because now you haven't just left this person with an unease feeling. No, you gave this person a new friend and possibly a new chance of happiness, because you don't know how those 2 friends might get along. And even if it's a male and a female, you might have just paired, you know, friends who have potentially turned to a couple. And guess what? If that happens, because that happened to me, they're going to come back and they're going to thank you. You're going to be like, great, I did something, even though I don't really care, because the whole idea was I just want you away from me. But now that you've done something great, now you're kind of happy. You're like, yeah, I did that. And the thing is, you actually might enjoy being around both of them more, because you're not the main point of contact and you're not the main attention, because it's each other. And it's probably a few months later, if not a few years later. So now they might have changed, might have been a different person, and now you can stand being around them. You see how that works? That's why I like that method. And then the final one, which is probably your best one, which is having a mature conversation with the person. I say communication is key no matter what it is, because that's facts. So if you have a conversation with someone because you have a problem with them, you're not really, you're not feeling them no more. The friendship, the relationship isn't what it was when y'all first started. The first thing you do, you try to fix it. You try to talk about it, try to figure out where the issues are. I said the best thing to do is write it out. Literally. When you see things on paper, it's right there. So you can't say that you never talked about it. Now, this is kind of like the business stuff. Yeah. But this applies, again, key concept to everything. When you can see what the issues is, you know where to start. So if y'all want to come back later and evaluate the situation, all you got to do is say, oh, okay, well, number one, all right, poor communication. All right, number two, no activities. All right, number three, you're very rude to me. Let's say y'all come back a few weeks later and assess that, and the top two things still haven't changed. Well, you know what the issue is because y'all already wrote it down. So it's not like it's something that went in one ear, went out the other. This is something that y'all wrote down, and hopefully either both of y'all see it and y'all took a picture of it because we have phones now, technology, or it's put in a place where y'all both can see it. Just if you're not on campus, if you're kind of like, even in a relationship where you can see it at home, like it's there. So you know what needs to be worked on. And if that person is not willing or able, then you can make an effective decision to remove them from your life. But that still comes into place with effective communication where you're going to be mature about it. You're going to go, hey, we said we're going to work on these things and you're not working on them. And I think it'll be best for us to not so much be friends anymore because I personally can't do this. That is the best way, having a mature conversation. Because listen, for most of y'all who's listening, we're grown now. Like, we shouldn't be going behind each other's backs and having very immature conversations and pity-pat, towel-at, playing the ABC game or the alphabet game. Is that what it's called? Or you start with something, or a telephone game. Yeah, you start with something, by the time it makes it all the way back down to the original person, it's something completely different and dumb. You need to have a straightforward conversation with that person and talk about what the issues are and how to go about it. This goes for friendships or relationships. Communication is key. And we're basically going to leave it at that. So I'm going to say the final tip is, whoop, whoop. My sis said to pray for them. I guess that's okay. But honestly, I would say is to work on the friendship. Now, if you want to get rid of them and you liked any of the first 3 ways, make sure you DM me or leave a comment, okay, and tell me that if that method worked and if you liked it, and then we can go from there. Because I think it's kind of funny. I think a lot of people wouldn't approve of it, but I would. But at the end of the day, communication is key. Have effective conversation. This way, there's no hard feelings. Y'all can leave on cordial terms, and I think it'll be best for both parties because now y'all feel like y'all left it all out on the table. Just like in sports, they said leave it out on the field. Leave it out on the field. If you ain't leave it out on the field, you ain't left it out on the field or on the court or on the rink, wherever your sport is, then personally you won't feel like you did enough because you're gonna think, oh man, I should have. I wish I would have. I could have. But if you laid it out, you did your best, you tried your hardest, and things still didn't work out, then you should feel internally good that things didn't happen. So, I'm going to just leave it at that.